So guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is part 2 of a 3-piece video, maybe a 4, that we're going to be talking about wheels, tires, and suspension on the GR Corolla. So, you know, our first video, the last one, I'll put a link in the corner, that we talked about just really, we barely touched the surface on some of the stuff that this car has that's different. One of the things I want to point out is this is the factory lug nut. This is a Shank style lug nut. So this actually goes in and actually is a good style lug nut. A lot of drag racing people use this style on the radials and stuff like that. It takes the stress off the actual stud. And so the biggest thing I want to tell you guys is you're gonna need to replace these when you purchase your wheels, okay? You're gonna need to use an aftermarket style lug nut. The seat is completely different for all aftermarket wheels, okay? So that's one key thing here. So this is the Volk Racing S Plus model, and this is in the mag blue finish. And again, this is the 18 by 9.5 plus 22 on the offset. So one thing I wanna point out, the front of this car, I didn't make it clear in the last video, it does not have a spacer, but the rear came with a 10mm spacer. So today we're gonna actually take that off and just kind of show you guys what it actually is. We're gonna measure the hub bores and all that stuff. So let's get this wheel off and let's check some stuff out and go from there. And we'll put this back on in just a couple minutes. So I'm measuring this hub to be 60mm. So you're gonna need to get some hub ring adapters for this. And one of the things about those, I would suggest aluminum on this one and not to do any plastic. The aluminum is gonna actually help with taking the stress off of the actual stud itself. And these are pretty short studs in my opinion. So we'll see how that goes. Let's go to the back real quick. So this thing comes off with a 5, what's a 5 and the hex heads. And this is all it is, but let's measure this and just confirm that this is also a 60mm. And look, you can tell it is, but it's gonna be like that, but let me measure it real quick for you. So again, I don't know if you guys can see this on camera. The battery's a little low on this thing, but this is coming in at 59.92, 93, 95. So you're gonna wanna go with a 60mm hub ring. And let's check it here. So yeah, same spec. The reason they did that, actually, I don't know why they did this, but some of you guys might want to consider this on your wheel setups. A lot of people are just going to keep this on here. If you notice, these are actually like an extended stud versus the front ones. So to compensate for this, it is a really nice spacer. It's got a little bolt that holds it in place and everything like that. So I don't know if you guys want to kind of consider that. In the last video, I kind of explained like when we put a plus 22, it actually becomes a 12. So you know, is anyone gonna run a staggered setup on this car? I don't think so because of the all-wheel drive, but a lot of cars like R35s will run staggered setups on all-wheel drive as long as the tire height remains the same. So you could take this off, it's an option, it's up to you guys. For us, I think we're gonna try to stick with a square setup. It's easier, it's better for tire rotation. So let's get this bolt back in here, and I got some other wheels I wanna show you guys, so I gotta do the sales plug in the video at one point. So I'm gonna show you guys some 57 CRs. I actually have a very, very special deal for any of you owners of this car on this wheel. We actually bought out the entire stock at Ray's, which is this Gramlight wheel. So let's get to that and let's open that up and check it out. All right guys, so this is the 18 by 9.5, 22. Same wheel, same fitment, same offset that I showed you guys in the last video. But my point here, and I'm trying to let you guys know, there's a little bit of a low-key sale on this. If you message us, or we'll kind of see if what we can get away with putting coupons on. A lot of manufacturers actually do not allow us to advertise some of the products below certain prices. Doesn't mean we can't sell them below. So we'll figure that out, but you want to contact us, we'll get you the scoop on these. I think we have 20 sets of these wheels in this exact color, and we have a couple sets in this special color over here I'm going to show you next. So this is the 57 CR. This isn't anything new. This isn't like anything exclusive or anything like that. It's just we bought the inventory on a special deal, and we want to pass the savings on to you guys. I think this wheel will look really good on a lot of cars, especially the white one, if you want to go out with a murdered look, one of the black ones, and I think this will actually look good on a red car as well. So this wheel here, you're gonna need lug nuts. We can work out a special deal for you to include lug nuts with this wheel, but this wheel is really, really hot. I like it. I think it's nice on a black car, as you can kind of see there. So let us know your thoughts. If you guys are interested in a set of these, let us know, but let's check out the other color this wheel is available in. Okay, so this is the same exact wheel, same exact spec. This is just in the AG color. I think this will look really good on the red and the black cars. I'm not sure how it would look on the white. So we only have a couple sets of these, and these again are also on a very, very special pricing. Let's take a look at this color here. This is how all wheels will come when you guys get them. They have these corner protectors to protect the lips of the wheels and everything from the way they come from Ray's. Just set that over there. And these also all include the valve stem. Okay, but let's show you guys this color. So we sold a lot of this color for the Supra. There's some people calling this like an actual different color. This is kind of like a Nardo gray, but the correct color code is the AG. And let's put this on the white car. This actually, I think, would look pretty good. Actually, this might be our backup wheel. This thing actually looks really good on white. Kind of like it. So I'm just putting this lug on just to kind of get it in place. We're actually, like I suggested earlier, you should use a hub ring on these. It's highly recommended on this car, all-wheel drive and everything like that. Put a lot of stress on the studs itself. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of this. Actually, I think it looks pretty good on the white. So I'm just gonna put this on here just to hold this wheel in place. And we're gonna go underneath the car. I'm gonna show you guys some of the clearance on the backside and what we got going on there. I've heard about a couple aftermarket wheels hitting here on other cars and stuff. So this one, the center cap will actually clear this piece that's sticking out the hub, or the axle itself. I think the TEs was really close. And so one of the reasons why I emphasize hub rings on this is you can see like how this wheel will shift around. Even if I center the lugs, you know, and those help center it, this wheel still wants to walk around a little bit. So the hub ring will actually take away a lot of the stress from the actual lug bolts themselves, the studs. So I showed you guys these wheels. I want to talk a little bit about the suspension and some clearances. We'll go out, we'll lift the car up a little bit more. I'll show you guys the backside. Obviously the suspension is droopy right now, it's hanging down. And this car has like quite a bit of travel, which is a really good thing. So on aftermarket suspensions, that's what we're gonna look for. Our suspension, again, I mentioned in the last video, but it is on the way. So that's one of the next parts, and that's what we're gonna finish in the next video. You're actually gonna see this car on the ground with one of these sets of wheels. I'm not sure which one. I don't know which one your guys' favorite is. I'm leaning towards this. This is not gonna be a forged wheel. This is a cast wheel though. So maybe we wanna do one of the TE37, the Saga Pluses. So let's, so I just wanna kind of comment on that. There's some video, I just want to kind of comment on that. And then the spacer too, like if you notice the alignment, I'm not sure if we're going to want to like, you have some adjustment basically. I'm not sure if we're going to want to change it, but if you want to bring this in a little bit, you have that with this, you know. Most people that I've talked to already that are putting wheels on the cars, they're keeping the 10 mil spacer because then you can still run that square setup. But you can actually adjust it in 7 mil if you're having any clearance issues or anything like that. This looks pretty easy to trim if you ever needed to. It's a little flimsy here, but you could trim this out real easy to get a little bit more space and clearance and stuff like that. So a lot of guys are running 255, 35, 18s. Some guys are running 265s. As I commented earlier, the track spec guys, they're gonna wanna bring the wheel in just a little bit more. So maybe it's that 10-inch wheel that we test fitted before. Some of them are running 9.5, like 38s and bringing it in. So you have a good half inch or about 10, 15 millimeters of spacing extra clearance wise and stuff. So it's a little bit bump out from stock, gives you a wider wheel, but you're not pushing it out all the way. So we'll see where the trend kind of lies. Let's lift this car up a little bit and let's look underneath a little more. All right, guys, so I just want to kind of give you guys a little bit of an inside look of what's going on here. That 10-inch wheel that we put on that was a plus 38 was actually 6.6. We just called it 7 millimeters in just a little bit more, but it was almost about 15 millimeters. I'm just approximating here, inboard a little bit more. So on the suspension here, you have a divorce setup. So it's just a coil spring right here. It's very easy to replace. The old E210 was actually a very similar setup where you can just pull the spring out, replace it, and then now they're gonna have an external shock. We'll see how the coilover setup is. So this is a really beefy suspension. I can't wait to get our coilovers on this car. Let's move up to the front and take a look at it. All the hardware and everything's really beefed up on this. One of the things that I first noticed was how big these, they call them crash bolts. These are camber bolts, how actually large these are. So we're gonna make sure we look into this, find out what size these are. By adjusting this top one here and putting a new camber bolt in, that's gonna allow you to add some camber to the wheel itself, as well as if there's any adjustable top plates. But if you look from up top, this car is actually not very easy to get to adjust a camber bolt or a camber plate if it were on top. So this here is what you're actually going to replace. There's plenty of clearance with this wheel setup. You could go in almost another ½ inch to an inch. Just don't want to have a super bubbly tire. The only thing you want to be careful is you just don't want your tire to be too tall to hit the top of that strut. An aftermarket coilover is going to come on in and it's going to go straight up there. It's going to be a lot narrower, so you're actually not going to have that issue as much. But I don't see any actual issues running aftermarket wheels and tires wider with this actual stock suspension either. All right, guys, so we haven't done this yet, but I want to kind of comment on this. So the strut tower, the top of it is actually right here. So this whole cowl has to be removed to actually do the suspension. And on the Fortunautos that we're putting on our car, I would recommend, and we're gonna set them up at about, you can go anywhere between 1 and 2 degrees, depending what your spec is, and then you can control the bottom part from the bottom. If you do the suspension yourself, or you have another shop do it, and then they gotta take it to another shop that's an alignment shop, they don't have one there or whatever, you're gonna have them probably take this back apart, or you're gonna need to leave this off until you set it up. So my suggestion is gonna be to set this kind of where you want, and then you can micro adjust it on the bottom with the actual cam bolt. I believe the cam bolt's gonna give you up to a 1.5 degree adjustment as well. So if you do like 1.5 up here and set it and forget about it, you can take your minor adjustments down below and kind of take that into account. You can adjust that at the track. This will be a little bit more difficult, or some people that are diehard track junkies, they're gonna actually just leave this off so they can adjust it how they want to. So we'll find out when we cross that bridge, when we get into installing suspension. But make sure you guys stay tuned to part 3 of our video where we actually do the install and kind of talk about the final steps on it. And then we'll have probably another video that goes through the details of the install, meaning that we'll have one that we'll fly through it and just kind of show you what it is, and then we'll put the car on the ground, and we'll have another video where we go through step by step and kind of tell you guys what we had to do to drop the car down on the ground. All right, guys, hey, thanks for tuning in today. Make sure you guys stay tuned, subscribe, watch for our future content on the whole suspension and getting the wheels and tires actually fitted on the car. Leave any comments below what you guys actually want to see on future videos and stuff like that. I take the time, I go through a lot of those, I respond to as many as I possibly can, especially early on when the video is first released. I kind of, just kind of see what's going on and what the vibe is on the video. By the time you guys see this, we'll probably already have the suspension on. So follow us on Instagram. If we post any pictures there, you guys will see them there first. So again, thanks a lot and appreciate you guys viewing.